Okay, so guys, let us begin with our today's lecture. So from today, things are going to be very serious because firstly, we will understand the roadmap, what we have to study in order to get placed. And we will decode the complete syllabus for the next 5 days. Each and everything in detailed manner, layman terms, easy terminologies I will be using to make you understand the things. So whenever you're learning any programming language, right, the ultimate goal will be to build a project. And when I say you want to build a project, your application development, if you're developing a web application, just like even Zoom, you notice I'm using Zoom right now. I'm accessing that here in my desktop. It is a web application. So this web application will comprise of three important layers. One is the front end. Two, it is the backend. It is what? Backend. And three, it is the database. It is what? Database. Now understand the backend coding, right? The backend coding. What is the role of it? Why we have to learn backend coding? Understand this here clearly. So we have backend coding. The front end code, let's assume I'm developing a simple HTML form which has a name field, which has email, and there is one simple submit button. Now I've developed this front end either using HTML, or I might use a popular frameworks like Angular, right? I might use popular frameworks like Angular, or I might also use a front end technology like Timeleaf, etc. There are many front end technologies which can help me build the form. Now I developed the form successfully. Okay. Now for my batch, for the students to register for the upcoming batch, I wanted one registration form. I decided to pick any one of this technology. Either go with HTML, right? Only HTML, right? Or I will go with Angular, which is more advanced way of implementing it. Timeleaf, not very popular like Angular, but I developed the front end form. Now, when my student enters the data into this form, he enters some data. Let's say my student name is Mike, and he enters his name and email ID. He entered his name and email ID. Now, when he enters his name and email ID and clicks on submit, from the front end, our backend code has to read the data. It has to read the data from that HTML form. That HTML form could have been developed using any of the front end technologies. But I have to read that data. To read the data from your front end, we will now have to focus on backend technologies like Java. I can use C Sharp. I can use Python, etc. Lot of programming languages are there for backend development. But today, one of the most popular programming languages, Java. Now, why we are learning Java? Because using Java, I can write the backend code which will be responsible to read the data from my front end framework or front end technology. So when I click on submit button, what will happen? This backend will read the name and the email ID. How do I read the data from the front end? Using a backend programming language like Java, C Sharp, or Python. Okay. Now using Java, I wrote some code, and what that code is doing, it's reading the data from my form. Now once that data it is reading from the form, I would further take that data and I would store that somewhere permanently. I will store that somewhere permanently. And to store that data somewhere permanently, I will use a database. So we have databases like MySQL, we have Oracle, we have MongoDB, we have Postgres, several databases we have got. See, understand a simple architecture. We have front-end HTML form. When I submit the data, how we will read that data in the background? To read the data from my HTML form, the candidate has to be good with backend programming language like Java. Now using Java, we will do backend programming, which will read the data from your HTML form, and that data then our Java code will store that into the database. Now any data stored in the database remains to be permanent. Remains to be what? So whenever you want to access that, you can access that particular data. So that is why if you observe here, the first thing, if you observe here now, see, I'll talk about React. We'll talk, a lot of people have this confusion, right? We'll definitely talk about the differences between Angular and React and which is popular. Hold on, give me some time. Okay, lot of people here are first time learners. There are sometimes even BCom, BA students in my batches. So let's understand this slowly. Okay, so now if you just look at our syllabus, our journey of learning. Okay, so somewhere we have the syllabus copy here. Let me check, where is that? Where is that? Do you see the syllabus copy somewhere here? A lot of things on my desktop. Here. Yes, I got it. I got it. So now I'm opening that up. So if you observe, this is all we are going to discuss in detailed manner what we will learn. But firstly, our learning journey will start with core Java. We have to make our foundations in core Java quite strong, and core Java learning will happen with debugging. Will happen with what? So you're going to learn from day one your core Java with the concepts of debugging. Sir, why debugging? So far, how students are learning Java, tell me? If I tell them to analyze a program, they will take a sheet of paper. And taking that sheet of paper, they will line by line manually, they will analyze how the program flow is. What happens when first line runs? What happens when the second line runs? What happens when the third line runs? They are analyzing this manually. Correct? 10 lines of program. Okay, you will analyze that manually. What if there are 100 lines of code you need to analyze line by line? What if there is 5,000 lines of code you need to analyze, 10,000 lines of code you need to analyze, 50,000 lines of code you need to analyze? Can you now take a pen and paper and analyze line by line what's happening in the code? No, we cannot do that. So a debugging tool is a very important thing which every developer should be aware of. Why, sir? When you join a company, someone would have written down the programs long back. 5 years, 6 years back, they would have developed the project already. It's an existing project you would have developed already. He left the company. Now you guys are hired in that company. Once you are hired in that company, now you're supposed to analyze the code that is developed by someone else. And in order to do that, debugging becomes very, very necessary. So we are going to learn not just core Java, but slowly the foundations of debugging will start. And at the end, you will be in a position to analyze anybody's program by yourself. And you will not ask your friends. Usually what a beginner does, when he doesn't understand a program, he'll ask his friend, hey, can you explain me what's happening? But what if I tell you debugging can be your friend who will explain line by line what's happening? And you need not rely on someone else to explain the project code. So while you are fixing a bug, you're fixing a defect, you're fixing any issues, right? Debugging is important. whether it is front end or back end, debugging comes in both the places. Even if you're learning Angular, there is debugging concepts in that. When you're learning backend coding, debugging is still involved there. Okay. Now observe the next thing. You're also going to learn data structures. Yes, that's a part of a syllabus. We'll cover data structures till version 22 of Java. Because Java version 21, many changes they made to data structures concept. Major changes they made it. So till version 22 of Java, our syllabus we are going to cover because we wanted to target data structures with the latest versions of Java. And with that multi-threading and of course Java 8 features which are very popular. So today when you go for interviews, Java 8 features like optional class, stream API, okay, lambdas expressions, functional interfaces, lot of practical questions will come here. So why are we learning core Java now? Again, the answer is we should learn core Java because without knowing core Java, you cannot start your backend coding strongly. If you want to learn your backend code very strongly, one has to be good with what? Backend programming language. Fine. And when I'm teaching you anything here in my class, there will be systematically notes maintained in my GitHub. So this is my GitHub repository. We'll also talk about GitHub later. What is GitHub? But here you will observe that what all things I'm going to cover, all the notes are already published here. Can you see that? Everything. So you will all get the soft copy of notes which we will be systematically following. Like you want to learn loggers, there's already notes that has been published here. So we will follow zero writing in classroom and not waste our time. Like what is logs, right? Then the log levels, why loggers are used, what is SL4J, things like that. Back to our lecture now. Now the next thing, after you guys have become quite good with the backend coding, now we will use this backend coding and start our journey with web development. The first part of web development is an outdated syllabus. Okay, we don't use this much today. But as a learner, you have to learn this because this makes your foundation quite strong, where I will invest only 10 to 15 days on this and not much because they are outdated syllabus. So what do you get to learn here? Understand now. What I'll do is, in our first part of web development, in the backend, I'll be using a concept called as servlets. Okay, now we are getting more clarity how Java code will be used here now. So using Java programming language, we are going to build something called as servlets. Using which programming language we will build servlets? Java. Sir, why are you building servlets? Servlets are the technology which is capable of reading this front-end code to backend. So if you want to read your front-end code to backend, you should know Java, but only when you know Java, you will start writing servlet programs. Now, servlet concept is responsible to read the data from front-end. And then this servlet will further pass that data to a concept in Java called as JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. So from the HTML form, servlets are reading data. Servlets to read the data from the front end, to write the programs in servlets, you should know Java. You cannot do servlet programming until and unless you don't know Java. So you learning Java to build servlet programs so that servlets can read the data from the form and that data servlet will give it to JDBC. JDBC is another concept in Java which helps Java program connect with the database and store the data into it, or delete the data, update the data, read the data. In order to do these operations in your database, which concept is required? And JDBC concept also, firstly, you should know, only when you know Java, we can do JDBC programming. Okay, again I'm repeating, you'll enter the data in the HTML form And this data to read in the backend, which technology we are using? In order to write servlets program, which programming language is required? After we read this name and email, servlet is giving that data to what? Java database connectivity. What is JDBC doing? JDBC now is a concept which will take this email, name and email, and it will further store that into any one of this database. So whether you write programs in servlets or JDBC, you should be strong with what? Which means in your level 2, you start understanding Java in practical manner. You start using that, okay, with a concept of implementation. But sir, this is all outdated syllabus. These are all outdated syllabus. Today we don't use servlets, we don't use JDBC in order to build our backend. Then what do we use, sir? This is where the concepts of now Spring Boot comes in picture and Hibernate. Understand this here now. Again, you cannot do coding of Spring Boot and Hibernate until and unless you're good with Java. You see how important Java is? If you don't start your learning journey with Java, you cannot do programming in Spring Boot and Hibernate. How, sir? Observe. So again, I developed one form. This form has a name, okay, which is Mike. This form has an email, which is mike@gmail.com. Fine. Now I have given one button here. This is the front end developed using HTML. Developed using what? HTML. When I submit this form, the data we have to read it in backend. Which technologies we will use? Servlet. But now servlets are outdated and servlet will now be replaced with, this is your modern implementation. So you know what Spring Boot does in high level manner? Spring Boot is also responsible to read the data from your front end and return the data back to front end. Just like servlet. Servlet can read data from front end and write data back to front end. Both it can do. So if you want to communicate with the front end, instead of servlet, we will use Spring Boot. And in order to learn Spring Boot, again, what do we require here? Java. It's going to get more and more interesting further. Just keep listening. Okay. So to learn Spring Boot, you should know again what? Java. Strong dependency. Now Spring Boot is able to read this name. It is able to read this name. It is able to read this what? Email ID. Now this name and email ID to store into database, Spring Boot will take this data further and it will give it to not JDBC, a concept called as Hibernate. So instead of now giving this data to JDBC, JDBC will be replaced with Hibernate in my advanced classes. And what Hibernate does, Hibernate takes your name and email ID and that will be further stored in database. That will be further stored in what? Database. Are you understanding now? So in order to do Hibernate coding, in order to do Spring Boot coding, you should be good with what? So what is Spring Boot doing? It's reading the data from front end, giving to Hibernate. Data is stored in database. Once the data is stored in database, Hibernate can again publish a message back to HTML telling that registration successful. So Hibernate can take data from the HTML form and Spring Boot can take data from HTML form and Spring Boot can also write the data back to HTML. Are you understanding now? It can do both. Take the data from front end and send the data back to front end. Who is responsible for it? Now what is responsible for Hibernate? To create interactions with the database to store our data and do data manipulation, like store the data, delete the data, update the data, retrieve the data, read the data. But you cannot be a good programmer with Spring Boot and Hibernate without knowing Java. Did you all get this, guys? Please tell me. Online students, did you all understand this basic part? Are you all clear with this? Online student, please tell me. Are you all clear with this? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. Excellent. Now, let's continue further. Now, what is the next thing we need to understand? Of course, I'll take you through the syllabus one by one. But for now, we have just understood why servlets are required, why JDBC is required. We'll also do one small mini project here, just for understanding login page, logout pages, form developments, lot of things I'm going to implement here, but this is all outdated. You cannot expect any interview questions on these topics. Okay? So usually most of the time full stack gets over here, but actual syllabus starts from here. Okay? Now, we just discussed about Spring Boot and Hibernate. Now we are going to talk about Spring security concept. Okay? What is the Spring security and why we should learn that? Now let's say I want to develop a login page. I want to develop a login page. This login page should do two things. Authentication, and there's a concept called as authorization. Authorization. Sir, what is the difference? Can you tell me? Now let's assume I have here our Zoom application. Correct? I have here a Zoom application. Does this Zoom application has a login? Yes, it has a login. Correct? Now this has a user name field and it has a password field. Do you agree with that? Now the first job of this login page is authentication, meaning whatever the username and password we are entering is valid or not. Username plus password, it is valid or not, it is going to check that. What is it going to check that? The username and the password entered, it is valid or not, it will check that. And if it is invalid, it will reject your login. If it is valid, it will give you the required access to the features. You're also logging in, I'm also logging in. But have you observed, when I log in as a trainer, I'm able to start the class. Correct? When I logged in the morning now, I started the Zoom class. I have the feature to start the class. But when you log in, you can only view the class. Which means as a trainer, I'm authorized to start a class. And as a user, as a student, you can only view the class. You can use a chat option. You can basically chat with people, but I can block your chat. Correct? I can remove the student from the batch. Okay? I can block a student from the batch. I don't want to do that, but simply I'm telling you. Correct? Now observe here, what I'm trying to tell you is, both of us, we are logging into the same page. It's the same login page. But when I log in, I can enable, disable your chat. I can put you people on mute. I can put all of you on mute. I can block a student from taking my class. Correct? I can start a class. But as a student, when you log in to the same page, you can only view class. You can chat. You cannot block others' chat. You can only chat. Correct? You can mute, unmute yourself, but not others. Sir, how is this working? Same login page is giving different access. Correct? This is where an authorization comes in picture. Authorization works on the concept of role. On the concept of what? Role. Now, when I log into Zoom, I am now an admin. And as an admin, I can now create a meeting. I can schedule a meeting, start a meeting, block the chat, enable the chat, mute all of them, unmute all of them. These things I can do it. But your role here is a student. Now when you log in as a student, same login page, because you logged in with the role student, you can only watch the class. You cannot stop the class. You cannot end the class. You cannot end my class. You can only end your class. Correct? You can chat, you can unmute yourself, but you cannot mute others. This is authorization which you will see in every project today. And in order to implement authentication and authorization, we require a concept here which is called as Spring Security with JWT tokens, and this is a very core concept for interview. Imagine a developer doesn't even knows how to build a login page and he wants to now crack the interview. So most of the time we see in the syllabus only Spring Boot written down. They don't mention this concept like Spring Security, JWT token would be covered as a part of syllabus. Now I want to log in with Gmail. I can do that with Spring Security. I want to log in with OTP. I can do that with Spring Security. Correct? I'll enter my mobile number, OTP is generated, log in with OTP. So Spring Security, should we learn or not? You tell me. Huh? Is it a very core concept or not? It is a core concept. Yes or no? Okay. So when you're learning Spring Security, there are a lot of concepts we will learn. Like when a user will sign up. Upon signing up, the password will be encrypted and stored in database. How, sir? For example, if you now just see here one of the database, I have one of the database here. You observe this database that we have it now. When you look at the password, see how the password looks like? It is encrypted. Nobody can find out what is the password. This encryption that is being done here is all because of Spring Security. Okay. Now let's continue further. Everyone clear with this basic part? Why Spring Security? Yes or no? So you have to first learn Spring Boot, Hibernate, then the concept of Spring Security comes in what? Picture. Everyone clear with this? Now let's understand what is API development and why we saw this yesterday. In every job portal, whether it's LinkedIn or Naukri, they have very clearly mentioned REST API development. Let's understand this more clearly now. So now I'll ask you one question. You want to construct a house. A simple question I have it for you. You want to now construct a house. Now when you want to construct a house, option 1 that I give it to you is manufacture everything by yourself. I want bricks. So let's do one thing. Let's put one brick factory. Okay? By yourself to construct your house. Then you decided, I want doors, wooden work, door frames, everything. Another factory you set up for manufacturing doors for your house. You wanted steel, you will put steel factory. You wanted cement factory. Correct? Now you wanted laborers. Now again, you are hiring people and training them. Will you be able to construct the house? Why? Huh? What complexity? You said complexity is there. Online students can talk to me. What complexity? You said complexity is there. What complexity? Cost wise. Which means to construct that house now might be, it will become more expensive than Taj Mahal. Yes or no? Because you're going and manufacturing everything by yourself. You have to set up a factory. Is that something going to make sense? Or other option I give you is, I want to construct house. There is one company who manufacture bricks. There are 100 companies manufacturing brick. I will evaluate whichever company is manufacturing good quality bricks. I will just procure from them. I will just source from them. I will just buy from them. There is some company manufacturing bricks, procure. There is some company who is manufacturing steel, procure from them. Like Tata Steel, take it from them. There is some company like ACC, cement, procure from them. And then put that into construction. The way you want to construct your house, build the logic, construct the house. Which one is easy? Huh? Obviously no. Yes or no? This is what your APIs does. APIs is like getting ready-made things and integrating that in your project, reducing your project cost, speeding up your project development and making your development faster. So, can you give us one example? Let's take the same Zoom example. What all features do you see in Zoom? Can we just write this here firstly? Students, can we write this here? You will start telling me, what is the core feature I see here? Online live video call. Do you agree with that? Actually, this is a video call, right? Yes or no? If I want to build a Zoom application, just like a Zoom application I want to build, I require one online video call. Second, what is the second thing I require here? Chat option. Correct? Chat option. I'm seeing that there is a group chat. People can chat during the class. Correct? What else do you see here? Recordings. Recordings. I can record my lectures in Zoom. Yes or no? Then after, huh? Screen share is a feature. We'll come to that later. Just pick the core important point like constructing a house. You said bricks, steel, things like that, right? You pick the modules. Okay, core modules that you see here. Online live video call, chat option, recording. I can also make payments. Yes or no? If I want to now subscribe for Zoom, if I'm conducting meetings for hundreds of students, I would require a subscription. Free version will not work. I require a payment option here. Do you agree with that? I want to send emailers. Yeah. Whenever basically I create here, an meeting, do you all get the emailers? Are you all getting the emailers? Yes or no? What happened? Online students, you're there or not there? Hello? Some response. There, no? Online students are there. Ah, thank God. Tiger Abhi Zinda hai. Okay. Keep listening. Keep observing. Okay. Now, if I want to build an application like this, which has online video call, chat option, saving of recordings, payments, email sending, will you build all these features from scratch? Or will you take these ready-made features and integrate? Just like your house. Will you build this online video call feature by yourself from scratch, like manufacturing brick? Or will you pick a ready-made feature and just integrate in your application? What will you do? Huh? Ready-made. Somebody said, I will take, if any company is providing online video call ready-made feature, I will use that. Okay. What about chat option? Will you build the chat feature by yourself, or will you go to the market, search the companies providing chat feature ready-made and just take that and integrate? Will you purchase steel or will you manufacture steel? So you'll purchase chat feature, you will purchase video call, you will purchase a feature for saving recordings, you will purchase a feature for sending emails, you will purchase the feature for what? Making payments. Now observe, this Zoom application, if it needs to be built in a cost effective manner, I will just go online to Google, I will search here live video call API. And now you see there is Zego Cloud, which gives me a feature for video call. There is already a company says, I have a product, I have already developed one part of the software which can efficiently make video calls. And there is API return, right? Now what is API? API is application. What is this interface? It means, understand the meaning here now. So what it says, I already have an API. But this API I've developed using C#. And this Zoom application I've developed using Java. Now I need to integrate this online video call Zego Cloud with Zoom. But the technologies are different. Though the technologies are different, an API can still make that integration because API is not technology dependent. Okay. Though this is developed in C#, this in Java, still I can connect that feature into my project, and now I can get that feature easily into my project without spending much money. This can make my development faster. Agreed or not? I want a chat option. Now likewise, there are many companies. You see, there is Twilio, there is Agora. This is what in our app is being used. Okay, the company which we have subscribed for. Okay, the further apps which we will be using it for the classes. So a lot of companies are there. Same way, if I now type here chat API, see, now there is Comet Chat. So there's already a company providing me chat feature. So why are you building it? Correct? Yes or no? So I have so many companies. Okay, chat API, Google Chat API. So lot of see Stream Chat. So there are many companies providing me chatting feature. Yes or no? So what I'll do now, tell me. Let's say this chat option One company has developed using Java. Okay, no problem. Zoom is also on Java. Technology doesn't matter. I can still integrate. Integrate. Understand the meaning. What am I telling? Integrate. Join. Okay. Take these features, join into your project and make your project development faster, quick, reliable, cost effective. Because this software is already well tested, ready for sale. This software is well tested, ready for sale. I want to send email. Let's do one thing. I can integrate with, for now I'll use Gmail. We should not use, bad option. I'll use Gmail. But for commercial purpose, we will go with SendGrid. These companies provide email sending services. OTP generated, you should get email. Correct? Password update, you should get email. You made a payment, you should get email. Payment successful with order details. How do I integrate this now? Again, what I will use here. Correct? So payments. Now I have some payment gateways like Stripe. Okay, if you go online, there is a Stripe payment gateway. Can you see that? Razorpay, Stripe. They provide online payment solution. Big companies are using it. Can you see that? Amazon, Nvidia, Ford, Coinbase, Google. How do I integrate Stripe? Again, with the concept of what? So what is API going to do, This API basically helps us going to Google, search the company, find the product and integrate that product in your existing application, make the application faster. Now you understand why in LinkedIn REST API development was mentioned to be mandatory, though it was a fresher requirement. Yes or no? Correct? So most of the time what happens, people will only talk about API development, which is basic, but they'll not talk about API integration. So there are two parts here. One, developing your own API. Second, integrating it to an existing API. Okay, and that plays a major role here in order to now build an application. Are you all getting this, guys? Yes, online students. So whether it is web service, REST API, web service, REST API, okay, REST API, web services, or API, all are same for us. It doesn't make any difference. But API gateway is different. That comes in microservices. We'll come to that later. Right? API gateway is a concept of microservices. But I'm talking about only right now APIs. Everyone got this basic part? Okay, good. So with this now, we have just understood. Just like database needed for a website. No. Don't get confused here. Right? So I've already given a solution now. I want to build an application. I require WhatsApp to be integrated. Now is WhatsApp a different software? Yes. I want WhatsApp to be integrated with Zoom. My student should get a notification on WhatsApp. So how do you integrate WhatsApp? API. I want to integrate SMS. Find out online how to send SMS. SMS API. Twilio is a very popular one. You see this? Very popular company using which we can send SMS. So we'll see all of these things. How to use this in our development, in practice, in actual later. Okay, we'll come to that. DevOps is also a part of our lecture. We will further discuss about DevOps. So, do you want to now pause here for today? We'll pause here for today. Yes? No? Continue? What do you want me to do? Your choice. Continue? Okay. Now the next thing that comes in picture, see after Spring Boot, Hibernate, API development, Spring security is being completed. Now comes the core part of your development, microservices. Okay, that's a core part for the development. So today, the trending concept for your placements is microservices and Kafka. Now, what is this microservice? Why a microservice is required? What's the purpose of microservice? Let's understand this here. So I'm going to go to this application, make my trip. Okay. Can you just see the features in make my trip? What is the first feature given here? Flight. What is the second one? Hotels. What is the third one? Villas and homestays, holiday packages, train, buses, cabs, tours and attractions, visa, cruise, forex car, travel agents, so many features they have. Correct? Now let's say I want to build this application. Now one way of developing this application will be a monolithic architecture. Monolithic architecture. What is monolithic? You know, monolithic, sometimes we listen to this word. This is a monolithic statue, which means there's one stone. Out of that one stone, they have made that statue. What if tomorrow the hand breaks? Can you replace easily? No, you have to discard the whole statue and again take a separate stone and prepare one statue. Monolithic means one. Mono means one. Are you understanding? Mono means one. Now, if I want to build this make my trip application, the way I see here, I observe that it has hotels feature, it has flights, it has bus, it has cab, etc. Now what I will do is I'll create a single project. In my system, I'll create one single project. All this project code, I will write it in one project. One single project I will create, and in that project, all this code has been written down. All this code has been written down. Are you understanding, everyone, now? One single project, I'm writing all this code now. And after writing all this code, I'm deploying it on a single server. I'm deploying this on a single server. Now, what is the disadvantage of it now? The disadvantage is, suppose, let's say some 10k people are booking hotels. Okay, I have another, okay, 20k people booking flight. 20k people booking flight. I have another 30k people, okay, sending a request to book bus. What is the total request gone to the server? 60k. What is the total load gone? 60k, which means what is happening? People who are accessing hotels, flights, bus, the complete load is on single server. The complete load is on what? Single server. Now, what if now more load I apply on this server and the server will slow down? The performance of server will slow down, obviously, no? Because what I did, combined load is applied on a single project. Combined load is applied on a single project. But if you logically think, the hotel load should only go to hotels, right? Why are you putting hotel load on other parts of the project? The hotel load, put it on hotel. The flights load, put it on flight. The bus load, put it on what? Bus module only. But you are not doing that. What are you doing? The complete load, you are putting it on single server, one application. Though it is the load related to hotel, that load is being put on the combined application. Yeah, that's unnecessarily you're putting load on other features of your application, which over the time will result in performance issue. I want to split this load. Whoever is accessing hotels, let that load be applied only on hotels. Whoever is accessing flights, let the load be applied only on flights. The user request should go to only flights. I don't apply one load on complete server. Combined load on one server. Not a good idea. This is where, from monolithic architecture, the concept of microservices comes in picture. Now, microservices means break your bigger project into smaller project, like hotels, one project, flight, another project, bus, another project, cab, another project. Separate teams are working on it. One team is working on hotels project. After hotels project is developed, This is being deployed on server S1. Once a flights project is being developed, this is being put into different server. Caps project, this is running on different server. And if you observe here now, the bus project, this is running on different server. Now understand, every project here is being, okay, is being now hosted separately on the server. Instead of making this all as one project, I've made this as 4 different projects and they're running on different server. Now what will happen? People applying load on hotel, that load is only on, correct? If anybody is accessing flights, 20k people, where is the load? Where is the load? The load is only on flights. People who are booking bus, 30k people, where is the load? Is the load split? Yes or no? But all of these projects can communicate with each other, or they can communicate with the same payment gateway. They can communicate with the same payment gateway. The payment gateway is not different in Make My Trip. It's one payment gateway. Whatever payment you make, it goes to Make My Trip. So payment gateway, hotels project will communicate with payment gateway. How that communication will happen? How will you integrate flights project with payment gateway? Which means before you have to learn API, then microservices. If you book a bus, API. If you book a cab, API. Yes or no? Do you agree with that? Now let's say I book a hotel, flight, cab, bus, email has to go. Email has to go. This is another service of mine, another project of mine. Now what will happen? Hotel can communicate with email project, flight can communicate, bus can communicate. How? API. There are a lot of advantages of microservices. See, I cannot tell you everything right away in depth manner. With maturity, time, you will start understanding this. Okay? You have to be very highly focused. Half learning is equivalent to no learning. Either you don't learn or you learn properly. Don't be in between. The in between students are too dangerous because they don't have focus now to listen, because half of the learning they've already done and they're not ready to now do a full learning, right? And that will definitely cause a problem. Yeah. So now understand here what we have done so far. This whole project is developed in microservices, but it looks like a same project. See, when I click on hotel, slash hotels is making a call to actually hotel microservice, which means if I click on trains, you see, so this URL is putting a load on railways. If I click on that, the load is put on bus. This load will go on. The load is getting split. Are you understanding now? The load will not be same here. Microservices is very important today because without microservices, project development cannot be done. Instead of making a big project, you go ahead, make smaller projects, and then make the communication between this smaller projects. Do the communication between what? The smaller projects using concepts of API. Project 1 can communicate with project 2 using a concept of API. Example C here. I'll just show you now. One simple foundation class on microservices we were taking today. Now you see, in my IDE, I've created 3 projects, 1 and 2. And there's of course another one which is required. You'll not understand that now. I want project 1 to communicate to project 2. So what I will do now, firstly, I'm starting all 3 projects. I will make, now see, this is my project 1 starting. Okay, this is my project 1 starting. Okay, you'll not understand this code now. We will all see that in practical slowly with spoon feeding. Now I'm starting my project 2. Can you see that? Microservices 1. Now I want microservice 2 to communicate with microservice 1. This is what I want. I'll show you how this is happening. Okay, so you will go here, select another application. So our project itself will happen on microservices architecture. Right? Now you see, I'm going to microservice 1. Forget about the coding part. Now this microservice 1, this get message is returning what? Welcome. When I call this, it will just return welcome. Just understand that. It's returning some value. How it is returning, what is that? We don't know. I have to call this. But when I take the cursor here, where is this project created? Can you see? G colon microservices September Foundation / microservice 1. But I'm going to call this from microservice 2. If I now go here, this is my microservices 2. If you now take the cursor here, this is a separate project. Can you see that? You can see there are 3 projects running. 3 projects are running at the same time. Now this URL will call my microservice 2, and microservice 2 is then calling microservice 1. When I call microservice 2 will call microservice 1, and microservice 1 will return welcome. Microservice 1 will return welcome. Okay, see, we are making these projects communicate with each other. So you should have concept of API development here. So complete project work that you see in my GitHub is all been implemented using concepts of microservices. See, without practicing and without being serious, right, you can never be confident enough to get placed. You have to understand the roadmap. You have to be serious. If you're just not serious, half of the course you do it, half of the things you do it, right? You're not preparing, you're not putting efforts. You think some magic will happen because of joining class, then don't join class at all. Don't join at all. Don't waste your money. If you're joining, you have to be very serious. Otherwise, don't take admission. That half-minded people, course are going on, in between apply for placements. Course is going on, in between apply for placements. Placements also gone, course also gone. If you're not serious, better don't join. Okay? We will not force here anyone to take admission. You will never get a call from my side that please join the course. One who wants to join, join. Doesn't want to join, don't join. My strategy is straightforward. We will not call anyone. Okay? And for me, it's not just the admission rate now. Shall be very honest. It's not just the admission rate. Okay? Now it's more to do with the quality of learning what we are delivering. I am just not targeting admission rate because those days of mine I've already earned a lot of money. I'm already quite rich, don't worry. Okay, 18 years, quite a lot of money, quite rich I am. Okay. So it's not about, just the admission rate here. It is all about how serious you are to learn. Okay. Be serious. Don't sleep in the class. If you're sleeping in the class, which means you're actually doing cheating with yourself. Don't take admission only. I'll not call you also and ask you why you did not join. You've seen my old students, in fact, they eat my head. Calling, sorry, I could not do the course. Now can I join? You know why this happened? Because their friends are placed. Now when they see friends are placed, now they become serious after 3 years. Because that time we took the course lightly. Please don't do this. It's not my beginning of career. It is yours. But still, if I'm serious to deliver the lectures promptly, you have to be 10 times serious than me. Yeah? You cannot afford to sleep in class. You cannot afford to take the things lightly. You cannot take this in a light manner. Very serious. And I'm not here your motivational teacher. And I don't have so much of time to motivate you people apart from my lectures. Giving you some extra lectures. I will never do that. First class, I'm speaking 5 minutes extra. Otherwise, I really don't have time and energy to invest on speaking anything else apart from my syllabus. My job is only to train you. Your job is only to learn for 6.5 months. And that's where you start seeing the results. Let's not do all that drama, some recreational activities in the institutes, wasting of time. Lecturers are making some jokes out there. Something is going on. Those all phase of things are gone. Now it is only point to point what we have to do. Agreed? Yes or no? So when you're taking part here in my class, because see, as a trainer for now, moment I look at the face, I can understand what kind of student he is, how serious he is. I don't even require now further things to talk. I'm talking in general right now. When student is not able to focus looking at the projector even for 5 minutes, he's filled with disturbance. And that disturbance will take him nowhere. It's only a dead end. Until and unless you don't empty your mind and sit with full confidence, right? That fear, which should not let you sleep. I want to see that in students. You should be scared of even sleeping in the night. You should wake up with fear. That what if I don't get a job? What if I don't prepare well? That's the attitude required from the student side. Not students coming, attending 1 hour of class, then enjoying, then doing time pass. A good student will tell even in dream, when sir teaches Java, in dream that Java lectures comes. I'm not talking just blindly. There are students come and they speak to me and they are serious students. Other students are like, sir is taking lecture here, they're spending time on YouTube. Then why did you pay fees to me? Because you don't even know what to study on YouTube. All of people here at least once should have taken the course on Udemy. Yes or no? Have you taken or not? Yeah? How many completed? Now raise hand. Taken course, lot of people are there. How many completed Udemy course? You have all studied on YouTube. Yes or no? How many people basically studied everything on YouTube and got a job? See, you're beginners, first time learners. So I know that very well. YouTube Udemy is Bahubali part 2. You're directly going with part 2. Part 1 is here. If you don't listen to my part 1, Bahubali Udemy part 2, part 3 will not work. But after my part 1, you will enjoy the classes anywhere you take. Building foundation, if not strong, building will collapse. Foundation is good. Even if your trainer teaches you half, rest half you will understand automatically. We don't then require a trainer to teach fully with spoon feeding. First time learning, go with patience. I don't want people to come here and sleep. Okay? Be serious. Long journey. Serious journey. And my energy is precious. I will not talk about these things again ever in the class. Okay? First day, first time, I've already given the warning. Rest, it's up to you. Make sense? Yes? Everyone? So that fear has to be there. A good fear to get job. Yes or no? Person who wants to be successful, he is always disturbed until and unless he achieves that goal. Yes or no? This would have happened with you somewhere or the other in your life. You're always disturbed. Could be like you're pressurizing your mother to buy something in childhood days. Still you're disturbed. I know that's a negative goal. But still you're disturbed. Telling that until she doesn't buy, I'll not eat food, I'll not do this. Why don't you show the same designation? I mean to say same dedication. Why don't you show the same dedication for a beautiful roadmap which we are going to create in the coming days? See, as a trainer, I'll never promise this. Everybody will get a job here. See, that's a false promise. I don't want to take out such words from my mouth where tomorrow when I'm walking out, my students looks at me. He doesn't come and greet me. He will see me with anger. Or do you want to see me with that affection, that love, saying that, okay, he was my trainer. What do you want? So let's not do all that drama, cheating, everything. Whatever is happening, that's apart. I'm not interested in that. Tomorrow when you see your trainer, he was the one who called me for free classes, then he asked me to pay the money, things like that. You will tell that. One version. Second version, I got a job. Today, whenever I go to any place, suppose the day before yesterday, I went to Electronic City. Some work of mine. I was just I was just there. I saw a couple of students coming there. Sir, I'm working here. I felt so proud about it. Right? They were so proud about it. So, because of you, I got into the company. So that few words is enough. Yes or no? So let's work with respect. Let's work with a proper sense. Let's work genuinely. I'm not a magician, please. This is a very difficult position to handle, guys, as a trainer. I cannot keep all people happy. Yeah? I cannot keep all people happy. I cannot place everyone. But yes, a serious candidate in my institute will never be disappointed. Because he will find a way to get a job. And how serious you are, that you have to, from today, Plan that up. Complete roadmap. Today's class was clear. I hope you understood the things clearly about Spring Boot, Hibernate, API, some understanding of microservices and why Java is required. Servlets and JDBC. Yeah, guys. So tomorrow, same time, same link of Zoom. But when you come tomorrow, come with that dedication. Come with that fresh mind. Don't come here demotivated. Yeah? Can I expect that? Yes? And see, my 15 minutes of energy is spent on it. 15 minutes of my energy is gone. Now, this energy I would have utilized in the next batch. So, I will not repeat this. You're matured. You're all matured. Yes or no? You're no longer now kids. You're matured people. Dedication, consistency, and not leaving the course incomplete. Somehow, if you complete the course, I guarantee you, somehow you will find a job. I've seen the weakest candidate. Somehow completes the course properly, decently, he grabs a job. That inconsistency is there, no problem. Bye, guys. See you. Take care. Next class tomorrow, same time. That's at 11.